agree.
You want to make a point to India and we won't let you get away with it, Ravi.
Arnab,
that's all.
Arnab,
nobody is defending that.
I agree it should not have happened.
No.
I agree
no, this is the case
happened, but I just want to remind you.
Yeah.
I just want to remind you, foreign relations trump the rule of law. Okay? Even the Chief Justice Roberts recently said only the executive branch is authorized by the Constitution to engage in foreign relations. So the courts only follow the lead of foreign relations policy of the executive.
No, please.
So what has happened here? We need to stop discussing Devyani's case facts and simply come back to foreign relations.
No, I'm coming into Devyani's case and I will not. No,
this
Ravi.
is a mistake. It should be remedied.
Ravi,
and I'm sure Secretary of State will make sure it is.
First of all, let me say this to you. There would have been no remedy today. At least the Americans, I'm so happy, have gone 2 steps back. In fact, we want them to go 10 steps back. We want 3 things: unconditional apology, dropping of all charges against Devyani, and I'm surprised Chidanand still thinks laughing matter. It's not laughing matter in India. And the third is a promise not to repeat an instance like this again.
I totally agree with you.
General Bakshi.
And I'm glad you're starting to come to the solutions now.
Look.
General
Bakshi. Okay, can I respond?
General Bakshi has been raising his hand.
Arnab, can I come in?
Yeah, General Bakshi.
Arnab, can I come in?
Yeah.
Arnab, I'd like to state that there are aggravating circumstances to this. A diplomat is not an ordinary citizen. She represents a country. Subjecting her to a humiliating strip search, putting handcuffs on her in public when she went to drop her children. This doesn't happen inadvertently.
It is unacceptable.
This is a deliberate and calculated kind of a step.
1 second.
And we are shocked. We are shocked as to why it has been done. There is something more to it that meets the eye.
This
lady was on the Iran-Afghanistan desk.
Lisa has a point.
Working on the Iran-Afghanistan desk.
We'll see what happens in this case.
There are conjectures in this country as to why it has happened.
Lisa. And then I'm opening up to calls. Yes, Lisa.
It's also unacceptable to fabricate on a visa application and to not follow the rules of the society. And we have our minimum wage laws there for a reason. And I think that we agree that perhaps we need to look at the procedures of the arrest, and perhaps there is room for some kind of apology for any emotional or psychological trauma that was caused by the procedure of the arrest, but at the same time, the U.S. has laws that need to be upheld.
No, the American government...
It's silly to say that this is some kind of racism, because
the
police officer
that's the only arrest. No, Lisa, it's not so silly because the embassy of Washington has conveyed everything to the U.S. and the U.S. government has been told officially to locate Richard and facilitate the arrest of an arrest warrant, service of an arrest warrant, which has been issued by a metropolitan magistrate in New Delhi under sections 387, 420 and 120B of the Indian Penal Code, which are fairly stringent provisions, and there needs to be some respect for an official request of the Indian government.
There needs to be
and by the way, Lisa, tell me how many Americans, Lisa, with the greatest,
and that's why we come to some kind of solution,
can I ask you one question, Lisa?
And remember that
Lisa, tell me,
the broader relationship that is important.
By the way, this has been going on for too long, Lisa. This has been going on for too long, you know that. Any question? No, 1 second. 1 minute. No, Lisa, you understand.
And I can agree.
No, Lisa. No. Watch it. Maroof, you see, I want to get Maroof into this. 1 minute. Every time. No, I've heard this. 1 second. Lisa.
Arnab, you just don't want to listen to
Sankarshan, that Lisa was speaking while you were speaking over her. And I need to go to Maroof. I'm making one point here. The point is this, that Lisa says broader relationship. I'm saying tonight that the responsibility of a broader relationship is as much America's as it is India's. So you know what? Every time that you do something like this, you must start worrying about the impact on a broader relationship. And India is a rising power, Lisa. America needs to be a little polite while dealing with top Indian diplomats, because if something like this were, God forbid, to happen to some of your diplomats, knowing the American wild response that we have seen in the past, you'd go ballistic. Maroof wants to respond. Yes, Maroof.
A couple of points, Arnab. The first is that we were all agreed that the American embassy in India is American territory. But do American embassy employees get salaries on par with what are the basic wages for their qualifications that they would draw in the US? No. Do we agree
Absolutely.
that American employees,
well said.
American companies employing, do we agree that American employing Indians in various companies that they work with are going to be getting the same salaries that they would pay to computer software experts or executives in American companies? No.
They don't.
So why separate set of rules for our citizens in our country when it suits the American pocket, and separate set of rules for our diplomats there when it suits America? The problem is with America is there are a lot of mid-level functionaries in the governmental departments who have an inflated notion of their worth. And they have done this not just with this diplomat, but they have humiliated a former Indian president with an American airline subjecting him to all sorts of searches. President Abdul Kalam was subjected to that. The Defense Minister of India, Mr. George Fernandes, was subjected to a detailed search at an American airport. When I brought this point up to an American person that I was interacting with, I said, would you like it if we did it to your defense secretary? He says, oh, how can you do that? That's an American defense secretary. Are you God's own people? Are we different? Are we lesser children of gods?
From what
so that is the point that America must understand.
Why would answer to
that
this?
you cannot have separate set of rules.
Is it true that does the American government? No. Watch it. Forget domestic health.
Most Americans can't.
America has abused human rights.
No, Lisa, that's a silly argument.
But then they lecture and pontificate to the world about human rights.
Well, I think, I'm going to open up to callers and a first caller today. And by the way, it's a very serious question. Does the American government pay its Indian employees the same salary levels, perks, perquisites in American dollars that it pays to its American employees? It would be just worthwhile to know, just to ensure that the Americans don't indulge in double standards. I want to know. Because if there's double standards going on in the American embassy in India, I'd be very worried. Then I think the Americans should really retract all that they are saying tonight. I have Dr. Sinha who's calling in from Hyderabad. Yes, Dr. Sinha, who's your question to and what's your point?
Yeah, my point is that where is the sense of proportion from the greatest country in the world? When the first point is, where is the background check? You're talking about a doctor. I know her from being a classmate. A doctor and a top diplomat, not only she had a very tough assignments in the past. She has made India proud.
Yes.
And why is it that the Americans are targeting specific? They've targeted Shah Rukh Khan, they've targeted President of India. Are they looking at certain specific, there's a sense of disproportionate...
I'd like Chidanand to take that. Chidanand, that question from Dr. Sinha about the proportion of the response. I don't know if you could hear him.
Look, yes, I could hear him, and I've said time and again that, look, there are a lot of areas where, the U.S. and U.S. authorities are overzealous in implementation and in execution and prosecution of their laws. And this is a particularly egregious case.
So why do they not do it with the Chinese and the Jordanians?
They do it. Look, they handcuffed Dominic Strauss-Kahn. Do you remember the IMF chief who was going to be the president of France? So nobody is spared. I don't think, they single out any particular people.
What was he accused of? You forgot?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, there are various cases.
No,
all I'm saying is I don't think there are any specific countries which are singled out for this. What I've been saying.
The same reason you're making the comparison.
Arnab, what I've been saying consistently is that the Indian government has not taken seriously even previous cases which are far more egregious. Half of Indian journalism, half of Indian bureaucracy and Indian politicians are in bed with the United States, right? You want to find out how many of your MPs and ministers and bureaucrats have children and families here?
What are you talking about?
They have not taken the United States
I'm no longer getting the strain of your argument.
Right.
Well, wait 1 second, please.
The strain of the argument is, there have been far more serious cases which you have not paid attention to. This country has spied on the United States, on India. That hasn't exercised you.
I am not uncomfortable with discussing the Devyani case in detail. And I believe that before we get into this broad solutions mode, before you press the let's look for solutions, let's look at the, as Lisa says, broader relationship mode. I'd say let's get into this case history mode. Okay, let's get into this in detail. And if this had happened in America, American media would have looked at this particular case before going into solutions mode. I can get into that, but later, Chidanand. I have a next caller. From Bangalore, I have Vishwanath. He's an advocate. Yes, Vishwanath.
Hey, why not India take more deterrent action to match their steps, whatever they're taken in future, which can be prevented to anyone?
Well, I think that's what we all expect. I think there'll be total agreement, Vishwanath, with everybody on this. But I don't know why we don't take more deterrent action. Why do you think, Sankarshan?
Arnab, I just wanted to say, and I'll wrap it into as an answer to the question from the caller from Bangalore. I get a sense, Chidanand, Arnab, that the reaction at this time is also a certain urge to subscribe to a very churlish machismo club or ethic that is roving around in India at the moment domestically. Tomorrow...
No, what is this? No, one second. I'm not a theoretical person. No, 1 second. Bring it down to basic. What do you mean?
What
do you mean? No, please explain it. Yeah.
I mean that tomorrow... I mean that the government tomorrow, the government is protecting itself against the charge coming from someone like Narendra Modi or the BJP tomorrow that this is a useless, weak-kneed...
You're going to bring Modi in on this.
Government, and so... Of course, why not?
Okay.
We are working in a situation where
so it's good.
The government is acting politically.
No,
if you believe there is no domestic reference to what the government is doing,
Sankarshan,
you're not saying the whole story.
You know, with respect to you, and
I'm not
I have great personal regard for you, Sankarshan. But I like to ask you this. I think what's happening to that I'd counter that for years we are used to a completely lily-livered, candy floss diplomacy that is so weak-kneed that India has forgotten its own basic strengths. Which is why you find what is happening right now. What did you call
that one out?
No. So when we say, I'll give you a specific example. There's a person. There's this person who was chairman of the House Armed Services Committee in February 2011. His name is Howard P. Buck McKeown. He's a Republican from California. He tells leaders in Pakistan that I'm going to strip away, like typical American talk, we are going to strip away $3 billion of our aid. And why? Because of the Raymond Davis case. What was that, Sankarshan? Churlish American machismo?
I will answer, Arnab. And so we peel off.
That's the only language the Americans understand.
By sending a few. By sending a few.
They talk that language to everyone. It's time they hear it back.
Tractors and JCBs to the backyard of the U.S. Embassy to remove barricades. I mean, how did we suddenly find that American security needs to be downgraded? What is the link here?
No, I think that's rubbish. The Home Minister has made a clear and clear. The Home Minister has made a very clear. The Home Minister made a Sankarshan. No, I don't think. No, Sankarshan. I think we are a responsible nation. The Home Minister said there is no scaling down of security. No, Home Minister has made a clarification. Let's not get there. I want Maroof to respond to this machismo angle. Maroof, Sankarshan says India is overreacting because of the Modi factor. Yes.
Absolutely not. I think there's no connection between Modi and this Devyani's case. This Devyani's case is a very simple, straightforward case. That how do you treat a diplomat out there? More importantly, Arnab, you've yourself raised two very important questions. The first is, how can a diplomat pay an employee more than what she earns?
Yeah, basic question.
Would an American diplomat even pay half of what they earn to their employees here? Forget paying more than that.
Yeah.
And the second and most important question is, which I've been raising again and again, that the Americans have one set of rules for themselves and one set of rules for the rest of the world. Let me raise an important point.
Maroof, Lisa wants to respond to you.
Looking at the larger picture.
1 second, Maroof.
Lisa talks about looking at the larger picture. Arnab, I want to raise one quick point.
But you'll have to let her respond,
Give me one instance in history since the Second World War, when America has served in a UN operation under an international commander. American troops will only serve under American commanders because they truly believe they are God's own children.
Well, I want
they truly believe they are superior.
Now we have 1 minute left on this debate. I'm going to let her respond.
The world's changed, Arnab.
I think Lisa has a right to respond.
You brought out this point that would they treat the Chinese like this?
She will respond to you now, Maroof. 1 second, my friend.
About time we don't get pushed around.
Lisa, go ahead.
Well, we've really gotten off topic here and into a lot of different issues, and I think we need to get back to what this is about. This is about U.S. law and following U.S. laws. And it doesn't matter, what the salary levels are. There are certain requirements, and if somebody cannot afford to have domestic help, then they don't have domestic help. It's not a right. And the second issue, which I think we all agree on, is that perhaps this was handled in a way that was not the way a diplomat should be
I'd say when you make a mistake, a mistake, Lisa, if a mistake has happened, if apologize unconditionally, make it the highest level apology, end the arrogance in the State Department, let them appear to be a bit more realistic, talk the language that you're speaking tonight. That's not what I heard from the State Department. And at the same time, pull back all cases and then say that we officially made a big mistake. We won't let it happen again. That's the only thing which should be acceptable to the
arrest was not a mistake, the way it was handled may have been.
Well, no. The arrest itself was a mistake because due legal process was going on in India. Well, we can disagree on that. We have a last caller. Sachin is a government servant. He's calling from Pune. Sachin, good evening.
Yeah, Arnab, good evening. I want to... Hello?
Go ahead, Sachin, quickly.
Yeah, Arnab, I want to make 3 quick points. First is, there are news reports saying that Indian government had arrested the child and father of the domestic maid. If this is true, this is indeed very shocking. Second point is, it is Indian government and the MEA which signed the contract saying that they will pay the minimum wage as per the US law. So the maid has only done is to ensure that the contract is enforced as per the US law. So instead of questioning US government, we should be questioning this kind of Indian government.
Okay, Sachin. Okay, Sachin, it's a good point. It's a good point. That angle will also have to be looked at. So I'm completely short of time. I thank everyone because it's 9:55. We have to go to debate number 2. Lisa, first of all, I hope when you go back, you carry the sentiment that is there in India and convey that to all the people the movers and shakers in Washington. Chidanand, we disagree on this one, but that's your right. And Sankarshan, thank you for backing up Chidanand so strongly. Anu and Maroof, thank you very much for joining me on debate number 1 on the Newshour tonight.